Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the CryptoSparta Podcast.
We back in a new location.
Yeah, we're around the world, but I mean, it does feel like there's a little excitement for the ETH merger, but as we always try to do, we weigh it with the overall market and the macro, which is a bit.
Yeah, so BTC is under 20K. It's at 19,800. So or below 20K. And then it was at like 1,500, but now it's kind of a little uptake and now it's at like 1,650. So, like people are just saying, don't be surprised if we're just in a sideways crab.
So one of the things that I wanted to bring up and talk about with Brian was the fact that the ETH Bitcoin chart. So we had talked like we just love talking. Shout out hashtag the flippening. I think ETH will have relative strength to Bitcoin.
Well, the merge is
The
happening.
merge is happening. I mean, is it really though? It's like it'd be another psych out.
No, it would happen, but it's just like it's not gonna be what you think. I feel like I think there's a lot of news, and I think it will take time. But yeah, Bitcoin to ETH is like down, so it's like 12.
So in relative strength, Bitcoin, it just seems, and not to give away like what we're going to be shown later, but in terms of the Bitcoin ETH trade, it feels like ETH has some a bit more rally potential.
But I mean, the overall macro is still really bad. Like Pakistan, like there's all these events, global events that
I've been
just
sending it to Brian, and there's a Wall Street Silver, which
everybody's
is
protesting.
they're very convinced that the market managers or the market makers and the large government organizations, as well as like the IMF or like the centralized banks, inflation is now getting to be a competition because the increase in costs of energy are being seen. And so, what I had sent to Brian was there are protests in where are they?
So many countries.
So many countries.
Like in India, there's like in
There was one in Gujarat. There was one in
Italy,
Czech Republic, Italy,
Germany.
Germany. I believe there was one in Ghana as well.
Yeah, Ghana.
It's not necessarily being reported, but I mean, you heard it here, and I
Well,
mean,
there's a lot of like news articles about electricity rations, like now that they're rationing
and
electricity
water shortages as well.
because they're depending on Russia for gas, Germany especially.
So
And
we've been
so
tracking this story in terms of like the European winter, where
shortages, like
they were
it's
saying
crazy.
how
Pakistani flood.
yeah, there's going to be shortages, which is going to either cause like massive price increases or rationing. And so in the UK, they're starting to ration and cut people off, and they're saying that there was a law passed that recently where I believe people are not allowed to go to the pubs past 9 p.m. and that the cost of beer has like doubled or tripled. But there was a similar thing in Colorado where if you signed up for the government shock protection plan, what's going to happen is that if the grid becomes strained, they're going to only allow you to cool your house down to a certain amount. And what they were doing in California was they were saying, please don't charge your cars. They were saying,
Well, they
don't
even
water
have a
your lawns,
sprinkler.
don't have a
Yeah,
pool.
they've had that sprinkler like water ration in effect for so long.
And so what's going to happen is like a lot of people are getting very angry, and there's protests around the world. There's also in New Zealand, and I've been sending Brian these tweets that have been reporting, and similar things have trickled into the housing market where the demand for purchasing houses has really dropped.
Yep, prices have dropped overall, and that has to do too with the macro, like Jerome Powell saying, like, "Oh, we're not doing a soft landing anymore. It's like a growth recession, basically, whatever that means." So it's just like that too, and then people trying to buy homes and then trying to fix them up too, like a little, uh, house flipping. Like they're having issues too because there's
There are no buyers.
yeah, log jam and materials too. So there's a stockpile so there's delays in projects.
Yeah. And I
So it's
mean,
really hard to get materials too.
the increase in energy has been a knock-on effect for building houses as well. And so now the raw materials shipping them has been increased. Um, I saw a visual that had talked about how the Russian oil is still going to Europe and the UK, but now it's going through China and then it's looping either around Africa or through the Suez Canal because instead of doing a pipeline from Russia to Europe, it's being resold to China and then being marked up. Russia and China and Russia and India, and as well as Russia and several other people are purchasing Russian oil at a discount on the global market rate. The global market rate is still heavily increased.
Some
And then they're
insider
shipping,
trading.
yeah. And then they're saying people in New Delhi and Beijing. Shout out to Breaking Points and Sagar and Jetty for bringing this up, where there are people who are basically purchasing from Russia and reselling, and then they're using inefficient shipping lanes and marking up, and they're making billions of dollars. And then the thing about it is, you could act like you don't know what it is, but the certain levels of, I believe it's like if it's petroleum versus, or if it's crude or refined oil, like you know where it comes from because of the certain type of oil with certain levels and like it's still the same oil that's ending up in Europe and England. It's just way upcharged and going in an inefficient route because they're shooting themselves in the foot and not just using the pipelines. But Russia is blockading the pipelines. But
Yeah, yeah, we don't know how long this war is gonna last.
yeah, I mean this is like kind of the macro stuff that uh we're thinking. But in spite of that, what I was gonna say was that I think that there's a lot of open interest in terms of people shorting. There was a news story recently from, I believe it was MSNBC or CNN or Fox Business, where there was a woman who had been doing analysis in terms of is there a bear market rally? And then she was saying, well, it's a lot of shorts covering. And she immediately got cut off. And it's like, you can't talk about that. But a lot of smart
Ruh-roh.
money is shorting. A lot of people think that it's going to get worse. The question that I posed to the audience and then also Brian, where it's like, is it going to get worse?
Should we short it?
But are there too many people already shorted? And then this kind of we had different like, but there was a big short squeeze based off of Vitalik's and should we say Dick or Schwanz or whatever his girth, his
Italics,
member.
schlong, like he was at
There
the
was a
World
giant
Economic
pump.
Forum.
Yeah.
Apparently, there was a rap concert by the Ethereum team that was circulating, and it was kind of cringe.
But
But also some enhancements in his nether region. I don't know if it's photoshopped or not. But dude, the tall. I mean, he's tall though. He's like 6'3", 6'5".
it looked like he was kind of
But I think it was like enhanced
it looked
because
like he
like
was a little excited or something though. But literally the reason we're bringing this up, and I think that Brian and I are treating ourselves kind of like weekly, news, and it was news, and it's like it's not news, but actually, there was tons of money leveraged in terms of shorts, shorting the market, believing that the market would go lower. And then when it gets overweighted, we had talked about how I'm like a spot trader. I just buy and hold. You can call it investor. I'm not necessarily a trader. The people that trade and then they use leverage and they say
nice.
that I think it's going to go down or I think it's going to go up. And then if I short it, then basically I'm borrowing shares to in the future, I will sell them at a lower price, but I've already locked in the higher price. That's why I'm shorting it. I believe that it's going to go bad. And then I loan them out to the market. And then I get to, you know, the profits from short selling is basically just a bet against the market. And too many people did that. And so then there was the photo of Vitalik, and the price of ETH went up like a couple $100 or over 10%. So if you leverage really hard, then you get liquidated, where it's like,
This is not like I don't remember recommend anybody doing this. This is like stressful because it's like even in a bear market which we're in, people trying to short, like you can still have, 5% candles going up. Like crypto is is a volatile asset. So it's very unpredictable, even though the overall trend is down. So it's like, yeah, be very careful trying to short something that could easily
well,
go up for
and
5 minutes and then go back down. And then you end up getting fucked.
what I wanted to say was about like the macro where we've been, it looks like the world is going to crap.
Yeah.
But what happened with GameStop and with the short squeezes is that when people leverage up and when people really take heavy bets against the market, like they can manipulate the market. And so what happened was that everybody thought that GameStop was going to die. So everybody bets against it. And then it becomes to an extent where there are so many bets and they're so highly leveraged. They're borrowing more money because they're like, I'll bet my house. Actually, let me get a loan on my house to double bet my house against
Yeah,
GameStop.
let's refinance.
And then it gets to the point where it's like, yeah, you guys probably have the right idea, but you're artificially manipulating the market by betting against it so heavily. And then if we just pump the price, then the loans get called. Do you actually have two houses worth of money? No. Well, it's like you took out a loan against GameStop, and GameStop is like worth more than before. So you lent us like you need to go get those shares. You need to actually give us the shares. And it's like, oh no, like I just lent them out. Like I don't actually have them. I thought they were going to go lower and then I'd buy back. So that's like the short covers where if you owe shares to someone that you don't own and then the price goes up, this is the mechanism where you get liquidated. Tons of people got liquidated because everybody thought, okay, crypto's going down. It's only going to get worse. They take
It'll
out
go up.
loans. And then, Sam Bankman Fried, perhaps, or some other market manipulator just says, okay, if I move the price by 20%,
All these
all
guys.
these people are going to get
And then we're
liquidated.
gonna get cheap ether, cheap Bitcoin, whatever. And the thing is too is like Sam Bankman's retired, like
No, that was
no,
Trabuco.
Sam Trabucco.
Yeah.
He's retired. So like people trying to get shit done, like don't rely on that the corporate stuff, like the government stuff.
Well, and we had talked about the concentration of Ethereum where it's unregulated by the SEC and people can move shares, they can move markets. And so, as we said, we're small boats on a large ocean being manipulated by whales.
Yeah. I
Um,
just feel like that Geico commercial where he's just like on that person's sailboat and they make it seem like he's on a yacht, on his own yacht, but he's actually just on a electronic sailboat that kids controls. And so yeah, we're in for a rude awakening if we can't
I mean, the macro is bad, but is this a growth industry? Is this where to be? I was going to share some of like the personal stuff with the businesses that I do where behind the scenes there's a lot of work being done, and we track Twitter. We've been into crypto like quite a bit, and I've gone to like conferences and talked to people. And behind the scenes, it's like it's not just your everyday person. Like we talk like we're everyday people because we're retail investors,
Hmm.
similar to like, ledger status where he chills and talks with Kobe, but he's not super duper uber rich. And the average crypto investor probably doesn't have that much money. But behind the scenes, it's a budding, I mean, this technology is going to revolutionize the world. At the end of the day,
Oracles will rule the world.
yeah, Chainlink, Ethereum, I mean, and if it's not Ethereum, something else, or all of these macro issues with inflation and centralized banks, like at a certain point, they're either going to have to outlaw crypto, which I mean, they've tried,
I
but it's
mean,
almost
yeah.
impossible. Like,
Well, look at the SEC these days. Like, I mean, they are suing Michael Saylor for, tax evasion. They're suing, what's the other company? Or no, the NFT project, Tunes, for
yeah,
like
and
market
so
manipulation. Like,
the thing is, when people start treating things like the market, and it's like there was a funny meme about it where it was like, the IRS is like, hey, like, you need to pay me in dollars. And it's like, well, I'm just trading with my neighbor, and then I just use seashells to keep track. And then it's like, oh yeah, those seashells are worth nothing. And then it's like, give me those seashells. Where it's like, when they start treating all these crypto accounts and currencies as like things that need to be regulated and monitored, it's already begun. And I mean, maybe it's unfair and maybe it's good because the idea of regulation is to protect consumers. There's so many people, and there was the BitBoy lawsuit as well, where it's like these people are famous and then they manipulate markets to have the people that follow them give them money that then they take out of the system. And crypto has made it very, very efficient.
very easy for them to
If
do
these
that.
were stocks, if these were Ponzi's, like it just really opens the door to that.
So, like, yeah, we'll see what happens. Like, SEC, they were suing Michael Saylor, and then they sued Degens Tunes which was Crypto Daddy O's like one of his main chills. Like, they got him on manipulation, fraud, tax evasion, that whole shindig. But like it's basically he was working like full-time job hours and then working like only 14 hours at the other job.
So basically, like Michael Saylor was applying for taxes in a state that he didn't actually live in,
Yeah.
and then they've tracked him down. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to send a message that they're going to crack down on where you live, how much money you have. You can't be sneaking crypto around. And
No,
I
guy just
mean,
can keep it
is
real
this
as
just
shit.
like CBDCs are next? Is that what the thing is? Where it's like the governments will then now slowly be in control of crypto and crypto will exist because the underlying technology will change, kind of how the world works. But I mean, is it going to be anonymous? Are the governments going to either outlaw it or require you to give your identification for everything? There was a post by DYDX that Kobe had reshared where it was like, you need to prove that you're alive. Like, the not a robot thing. Like, are we all going to have one time passwords for our phones that track wherever we go? And we don't need to go down that whole rabbit hole. But from that stuff, I mean, I wanted to move into NFTs where it's like
There's a little movement going on.
yeah,
These Utes, man, you don't know what kind of art they are, but I think they're creating a little mass marketing or like free social media. Like they're getting messy on it. Like all the it's basically a white paper, 30,000 or 100,000
they
euro.
went through tons of applications to be a part of the club. And Utes is on Solana. I had gone to the Solana conference in Portugal. They have so much money behind it,
Yeah.
and they're gonna make all of these NFT projects basically like cool party clubs where you spend money to be in the club and then you flex online. I was gonna tell Brian about the Kampai Pandas. I want him to buy one and shout out to Ice Bags. I mean, they're doing events and they're, like
Yeah, let me know what they're doing in the comment section. Like, they must be doing some special kind of training for the age group or something.
I mean, they have a lot of people. I think that there's like people in the know where it's like, who was the friend of Kobe who was like really like early into NFTs? Was it Light? No.
I don't know. Maybe it was just Kobe. His name was just Kobe.
No, it was Kobe and then this other guy who was like had crypto punks where it's like if you're in the club where you're like, I had ether rocks, like it's like I've been there since day one. I minted an original
Yeah,
Mooncat.
I sold this and then recover my outlook. This is where I am. Like,
Yeah, and it's just like I think for Kanpai Pandas or for like the communities that are going to survive, like it's going to be cool kids clubs and it's going to be about prestige where it's going to be like, yo,
yeah,
I
I don't
have,
know how Startup is gonna make money in this environment.
yeah. But I mean, with NFTs, there's a lot of big name brands that are getting into it. And like, it's pretty clear they're not going to go away. I
Mm.
mean, do you really bet against NFTs at all?
No,
And so the Utes, I think that it's like what we were talking about is it like a pump and dump? Is it a scam? Like, is it just
dude.
influencers?
I
And then
mean,
it's so hard to get on these white lists
they're
and stuff.
not easy to build a football group program. Like
It's it's
they.
Path. It's cryptopathic. I found it. It was
Oh,
cryptopathic and crypto Cobain. But yeah, I mean, the Utes, the Kampai Pandas, and like now there's more and more people doing Bored Ape stuff. There was like the Eminem and Snoop Dogg thing that they did on the VMAs or whatever. People said it was cringe, but like it'll get better. Like it'll evolve and then it'll become corporate like soon enough.
yeah, things will get bought.
Yeah. But should we hit the shows?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna go for it and like I don't think there's enough hype. I don't think that the merge is priced in. So I think Ethereum. Like
I mean, it had a little bump, and yeah, it's probably smart to do play a little merge pre-dump and then dump out on the day of the merge. But
it's kind of like the macro has been so bad that like maybe it's been too bad. Like you have to think counterintuitively where
I mean,
you don't
there's
go where the whole
success to be
herd goes.
had. Like
There's
there's
money
still
around.
bear building, so it's like Ethereum 2.0 launches, like people will be happy. Like large players that got that
And there's
thing hit
still, if you
running,
look at the metrics, there's still
they're
like
definitely.
tons of money moving around. There's tons of people investing in startups, and it's just your everyday person is getting hammered, but that's a fraction of the market. And like I think that crypto is going to be a weird evolution of like the rest of the world
Well, B
thinks that,
school applications, they don't even know what they're looking for in an applicant. Like,
and I think that everything is going to be in the future like kind of anonymized where people are going to, they're not going to know um who the people that are in control are. Everything's going to be anonymous. It's going to be through crypto. It's going to be like borderless. And
I'll
then the
figure it
the the
out.
question is going to be in the future of privacy or no privacy, and which governments are going to be taxing you how. And then, when they send people like Michael Saylor to jail and they try to show and make an example of people that try to,
Yeah,
escape the
that's
system,
so wrong.
it's going to be scary. I mean, I just see that as the path, but I like the idea of decentralization. I like the idea of like taking control out of the bank's hands and the central government's hands, but maybe that's a bit personal. But what are your shows?
I mean, my show, I think chain like SmartCon 2023 improving. Like
They're going to talk about staking, and like everyone's been waiting for the staking announcement.
Chainlink is just like close to the heart. I just think,
It's incredible technology. That's like the
yeah,
thing that people don't.
The
People
world
think
is
that these are just
will need
random coins that are treated like shells or
workers.
whatever. No, these things are actually backed by very game-changing technology.
Yeah, shit's
So
wild.
yeah, Chainlink.
So we'll see. I mean, this has been more of a macro podcast right now instead of
It's like, is
the
the whole ship
usual.
going down? Yeah.
But like, this is why we do macros so you stay informed um, to make the smaller decisions. So, with that said, that was the latest episode of the CryptoSparta Podcast. It's been a pleasure. Peace.
Peace.